Hello everybody, tonight I'm going to be teaching you how to make something I'm very excited about, coffee kombucha. For those of you that are familiar with kombucha, you know that it's traditionally made with a tea. And kombucha, for those of you who don't know, is a fermented beverage using a symbiotic culture of yeast and bacteria known as a SCOBY. The SCOBY feeds on two things, caffeine and sugar. So most people use a black tea and they use sugar. They ferment that for however long they like, 3 to 30 days, and develops a lot of probiotics, good beneficial bacteria, really good for your digestive system, really good for your immune system. And I'm lucky enough to live in an area where there are lots of kombucha brewers around. And recently I had a kombucha that really blew me away, and it was made using coffee. So I thought, okay, I've got to try this at home because making your own kombucha is really easy, really cost effective. So I decided to try a cold brewed coffee kombucha, and it came out fantastic. So I'm going to show you how to do it. The first thing that you need is your cold brewed coffee. And this is a concentrate, so we're going to be adding this with equal parts water. And I use a nut milk bag made out of hemp cloth to hold the coffee grounds. You can also use a French press. That works as well. All you really need to know is the ratio, and the rest you can do however you like. And that's, you want to use a 4-to-1 ratio of coffee grounds to water. So in here I've got 2 cups of coffee grounds, and then I've got half a gallon of water. And I've soaked this. You can do cold brewed coffee in many ways. You can do it anywhere from 3 hours. Some people do it up to 3 days. This one I've had going for 36 hours. The first batch I used coffee that went for 24 hours, and that came out fantastic. So after it's gone for a length of time, and you'll see pretty quickly that the coffee will turn quite dark. And you can use hot brewed coffee as well. You just want to make sure that it comes down to room temperature before you put it inside of your batch of kombucha so that you don't hurt your SCOBY. You don't want to burn it. I just like cold brewed coffee because I think the flavor comes through a little more in the coffee grounds. It's a little less acidic, I want to say. Maybe just from the hot water running over and kind of scorching the coffee grounds a little bit, you take that effect away and you let a lot more of the subtle flavors come out in a cold brew. So I'm just kind of letting the rest of the concentrate run out here. And when you take something caffeinated, the coffee, I don't generally drink a lot of beverages that contain caffeine because I'm pretty sensitive to it. Coffee for a long time I always avoided because it made me kind of jittery, kind of anxious. I didn't really like the way the caffeine affected me. But what I noticed that when I made it into a kombucha, perhaps from the fermentation process, because the SCOBY feeds off of caffeine and off of sugar, that it really milds it out. So if I let this ferment for say 7 days, and then I drink that in a small amount, 3, 4, 5 ounces a day, as a nice little wake up in the morning, it gives me really balanced energy, really smooth energy, and doesn't give me that jittery feeling that maybe an espresso or regular cup of coffee would give me. So it's really simple. What you need to make the kombucha itself is a little bit of a batch, and this glass that I use is pretty dark, so I don't know if you can see it, but we've got about to here filled with a previously brewed batch of kombucha, and this is a coffee kombucha that I used previously. So after you have your extract, you can pour your extract right into the jar. This one looks okay. So we'll just take the extract right into the jar. And we'll add it in. And then the other half of the equation from the extract is you're going to take equal parts water. So I've got a half a gallon of water in here, and you're going to add sugar. And just warm the water up enough just for the sugar to kind of melt down into the water and mix well. You don't want it to get really hot. Like I said, you don't want to put anything hot into your batch of kombucha. Some people use white sugar. I use an organic unrefined sugar. As well as for the coffee, my suggestion is always, an organically grown, shade-grown, fair trade coffee. Try to keep it quality and bring in the goods. And so I use an organic unrefined sugar in here, and you can use anywhere from half a cup up to a cup or more. If you buy kombucha in the stores, a lot of times you'll notice that it's really, really fizzy and really carbonated. That's because they usually do a second batch of fermentation inside of the jar itself. So if you look at the ingredients and you see that it's got fruit juice added, and you'll know that they've done a second fermentation, or maybe they add a little sugar to the jar, increases the carbonation, and so those kombuchas can kind of come off soda-like. There's also kombuchas that I know of a company, Lionheart Kombucha, for example, uses a half a cup of sugar per gallon. So I usually go in the range of a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of sugar per. This jar holds about a gallon, slightly more than a gallon of water. So I've already put the sugar in and mixed that in, and I'm going to put that right in here with the rest of the batch. Mix that up. Making kombucha is a lot of fun. It's really easy. If you look at some of the store-bought kombuchas and you see the ingredients, you think, wow, that's really complicated. This must be such a difficult process. It's really simple, and you'll see that something like this is fantastic. I mean, to make the extract for the coffee, take the coffee grounds, you put them in water, and you let them sit. You mix in a little sugar water, and you put it in the jar here, and then you just let it go. You let it sit and do its thing. You let nature take its course, and that's that. And so what I put over here, I do everything in glass. That's my preference. I know some people use other materials. Then I just take a clean kitchen rag and put right over the top. Make sure no fruit flies or ants or anything like that get inside, and I just put a rubber band over the top. And then I generally let it go for 7 to 10 days, and it gives me a really nice, very light, the SCOBY eats all the sugar, eats away a lot of the caffeine. This leaves me with a really delicious, mellow beverage that I like a lot. And hopefully everyone at home, you can try this too if you're an experienced kombucha brewer. If not, if you look up kombucha and want to get into it, it's a good place to start if you're a coffee lover. And hopefully this video will inspire everyone to get a little more creative with what they're doing if they're already fermenting their own beverages at home, making kombucha themselves. There's a whole new realm of kombucha to get into, a whole new ball game now. There's something a lot of fun to play around with. Coffee kombucha. Thanks very much for watching.